Hello, fourth grade. I'm going to read to you pages 251 to 260 in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I think I only have 2 more days of reading, and Mrs. Smith maybe has 1 or 2, so we're almost done with this book. Right now, we're going to split into 2 parties and follow the trail in different directions. There's blood all over the place. It must have been staggering around since last night at least. I want Fang, said Malfoy quickly. All right, but I warn you, he's a coward, said Hagrid. So me, Harry, and Hermione will go one way, and Draco, Neville, and Fang will go the other. Now, if any of us finds a unicorn, we'll send up green sparks, right? Get your wands and practice now. That's it. And if anyone gets in trouble, send up red sparks, and we'll all come and find you. So be careful. Let's go. The forest was black and silent. A little way into it, they reached a fork in the earth path, and Harry, Hermione, and Hagrid took the left path while Malfoy, Neville, and Fang took the right. They walked in silence, their eyes on the ground. Every now and then, a ray of moonlight through the branches above lit a spot of silver-blue blood on the palm leaves. Harry saw that Hagrid looked very worried. Could a werewolf be killing the unicorns? Harry asked. Not fast enough, said Hagrid. It's not easy to catch a unicorn. They're powerful magical creatures. I never knew one to be hurt before. They walked past a mossy tree stump. Harry could hear running water. There must be a stream somewhere close by. There were still spots of unicorn blood here and there along the winding path. You all right, Hermione? Hagrid whispered. Don't worry, you haven't gone far to get badly hurt, and we'll be able to get behind that tree. Hagrid seized Harry and Hermione and hoisted them up the path behind a towering oak. He pulled out an arrow and fitted it on his crossbow, raising it ready to fire. The 3 of them listened. Something was slithering over dead trees nearby. It sounded like a cloak trailing along the ground. Hagrid was squinting up in the dark path, but after a few seconds, the sound faded away. I knew it. There's something here that shouldn't be. A werewolf? Harry asked. That wasn't no werewolf. That wasn't no unicorn either. Right, follow me. Be careful now. They walked more slowly, ears straining from the faintest sound. Suddenly, in a clearing ahead, something definitely moved. Who's there? Hagrid called. Show yourself. I'm armed. And into the clearing came, was it a man or a horse? To the waist, a man and with red hair and a beard, but below was the horse's gleaming chestnut body with a long reddish tail. Harry and Hermione's jaws dropped. Oh, it's you, Ronan, said Hagrid in relief. How are you? He walked forward and took the centaur's hand. Good evening to you, Hagrid, said Ronan. Were you going to shoot me? Can't be too careful, Ronan, said Hagrid. There's something bad loose in the forest. This is Harry Potter and Hermione Granger, by the way, students up at the school, and this is Ronan, you two. He's a centaur. We noticed, Harry said. Good evening, said Ronan. Students, are you? And do you learn much up at that school? A bit, said Hermione timidly. A bit? Well, that's something. Mars is bright tonight, Ronan sighed. Yeah, said Hagrid, glancing up, too. Listen, I'm glad we've run into you, Ronan, because there's a unicorn been hurt. You seen anything? Ronan didn't answer immediately. He stared unblinkingly upwards and sighed again. Always the innocent are the first victims, he said. So it's been for ages past. So it is now. Yeah, said Hagrid. But have you seen anything, Ronan? Anything unusual? Mars is bright tonight, Ronan repeated while Hagrid watched him impatiently. Unusually bright. Yeah, but I mean anything unusual a bit nearer home. Oh, you haven't noticed anything strange? Yet again, Ronan took a while to answer. At last, he said, the forest hides many secrets. A moment in the trees behind Ronan made Hagrid rise his bow again, but it was only the second centaur, black-haired and bodied, and wilder looking than Ronan. Hello, Bane, said Hagrid. All right, good evening. Hagrid, I hope you are well. Well enough. Look, I've just been asking Ronan, have you seen anything odd in here lately? There's a unicorn been injured. Would you know anything about it? Bane walked over to the stand next to Ronan. He looked skyward. Mars is bright tonight, he said simply. We've heard, said Hagrid grumpily. Well, if either of you do see anything, let me know, won't you? We'll be off then. Harry and Hermione followed them into the clearing, staring over their shoulders at Ronan and Bane until the trees blocked their view. Never try to get a straight answer out of a centaur. Ruddy stargazers, not interested in anything closer than the moon. Are there many of them in here? Asked Hermione. Oh, a fair few. Keep themselves to themselves mostly, but they're good enough about turning up if ever I want a word. They're deep mind centaurs. They know things, just don't let on much. You think that was a centaur we heard earlier, said Harry. Did it sound like hooves to you? Nah, if you ask me, that was what's been killing the unicorns. Never heard anything like it before. They walked on through the dense, dark trees. Harry kept looking nervously over his shoulder. He had a nasty feeling they were being watched. He had been glad they had Hagrid with the crossbow with them. They had just passed a bend in the path when Hermione grabbed Hagrid's arm. Hagrid, look, red sparks. The others are in trouble. You two, wait here, Hagrid said. Stay on the path. I'll come back for you. They heard him crashing through the undergrowth and stood looking at each other, very scared, until they couldn't hear anything but rustling of leaves around them. You don't think they've been hurt, do you? Whispered Hermione. I don't care if Malfoy has, but nothing's got Neville. It's our fault that he came here in the first place. Minutes dragged by. Their ears seemed sharper than usual. Harry seemed to be picking up every sigh of the wind, every cracking twig. What's going on? Where were the others? At last, a great crunching noise announced Hagrid's return. Malfoy, Neville, and Fang were with them. Hagrid was fuming. Malfoy, it seemed, had snuck up behind Neville and grabbed him as a joke. Neville had panicked and sent up the sparks. We'll be lucky to catch anything now that the racket you two were making. We're changing groups. Neville, you stay with me. Hermione and Harry, you go with Fang and this idiot. I'm sorry, Hagrid whispered to Harry, but he'll give a harder time frightening you, and we've got to get this done. So Harry set off into the heart of the forest with Malfoy and Fang. They walked for nearly half an hour deeper and deeper into the forest until the path became almost impossible to follow because the trees were so thick. Harry thought the blood seemed to be getting thicker. There were splashes on the roots of trees as though the poor creature had been thrashing around in pain close by. Harry could see a clearing ahead, through the tangled branches of the oak. Oh, arm up, thought Malfoy. Something bright white was gleaming on the ground. They inched closer. It was a unicorn, all right, and it was dead. Harry had never seen anything so beautiful and so sad. Its long, slender legs were stuck out at odd angles where it had fallen, and its mane was spread pearly white on the dark leaves. Harry had taken one step toward it with the slithering sound made him freeze where he stood. A bush on the edge of the clearing quivered. Then out of nowhere, a hooded figure came crawling across the ground like some stalking beast. Harry, Malfoy, and Fang stood transfixed. The cloaked figure reached the unicorn, lowered its head on the wound of the side of the animal, and began to drink its blood. Ah! Malfoy let out a terrible scream and bolted. So did Fang. The hooded figure raised its head and looked right at Harry. Unicorn blood was dribbling down its front. It got to its feet and came swiftly toward Harry. He wouldn't move for fear. Then a pain like nothing he'd ever felt before pierced his head. It was as though his scar were on fire. Half blinded, he staggered backward. He heard hooves behind him galloping, and something jumped clean over Harry, charging at the figure. The pain in Harry's head was so bad he fell to his knees. It took a minute or two to pass. When he looked up, the figure had gone. A centaur was standing over him, not Ronan or Bane. This one looked younger. He had white blonde hair and a palomino body. Are you all right? Said the centaur, pulling Harry to his feet. Yes, thank you. What was that? The centaur didn't answer. He had astonishingly blue eyes, like pale sapphires. He looked carefully at Harry, his eyes lingering on the scar that stood out, livid, on Harry's forehead. You are the Potter boy, he said. You better get back to Hagrid. The forest is not safe at this time, especially for you. Can you ride? It'll be quicker this way. My name is Firenze, he added, and lowered himself onto the front leg so that Harry could climb onto his back. There was suddenly a sound of more galloping from the other side of the clearing. Ronan and Bane came bursting through the trees, their flanks heaving and sweaty. Friends, Bane thundered, what are you doing? You have a human on your back. Have you no shame? Are you a common mule? Do you realize who this is? Said Firenze. This is the Potter boy. The quicker he leaves the forest, the better. What have you been telling him? Growled Bane. Remember, Firenze, we are sworn not to set ourselves against the heavens. Have you not read what it is to come on the movements of the planets? Rowan pawed and ground nervously. I'm sure Firenze thought he was acting for the best. He said he was in his gloomy voice. Bane kicked his back legs in anger. For the best? What is it that you do with us? Centaurs are concerned with what has been foretold. It is not our business to run around like donkeys after stray humans in our forest. Firenze suddenly reared his legs in anger, so that Harry had to grab his shoulders to stay on. You not see that unicorn? Firenze bellowed at Bane. Do you not understand why it was killed? Or have the planets not told you that secret? I set myself against what is lurking in the forest, Bane. Yes, with humans alongside me if I must. And Fire Ends whisked around with Harry clutching on as best he could. They plunged off into the trees, leaving Ronan and Bane behind them. Harry didn't have a clue what was going on. Why is Bane so angry? He asked. What was that thing you saved me from anyway? Fire Ends slowed to a walk, warned Harry to keep his head bowed in case of low-hanging branches, but didn't answer Harry's question. They made their way through the trees in silence for so long that Harry thought Fire Ends didn't want to talk to him anymore. Harry Potter, do you know what unicorn blood is used for? No, said Harry. We've only used the horn and tail part in potions. That is because it is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn, said Fire Ends. The only one who has nothing to lose and everything to gain will commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment that blood touches your lips. Harry stared at the back of Ferentz's head, which had dappled silver in the moonlight. But who would be so desperate? If you're going to be cursed forever, death's better, isn't it? It is, Ferenz agreed, unless all you need is to stay alive long enough to drink something else, something that will bring you back to full strength and power, something that will mean that you can never die. Mr. Potter, do you know what is hidden in the school at this very moment? The Sorcerer's Stone, of course, the elixir of life. But I don't understand can you not think of anybody who has waited many years to return to power, who has clung to life awaiting their chance? It was though an iron fist had clenched suddenly around Harry's heart. Over the rustling of the trees, he seemed to hear once more what Hagrid had told him on the night that they had met. Some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion, don't know if he had enough human left in him to die. Do you mean, Harry cracked, that was Harry, are you all right? Hermione was running toward them down the path, Hagrid puffing along behind her. I'm fine, said Harry, hardly knowing what he was saying. The unicorn's dead, Hagrid. It's in the clearing back there. This is where I leave you, Firenze murmured as Hagrid hurried off to examine the unicorn. You are safe now. Harry slid off his back. Good luck, Harry Potter, said Firenze. The planets have been read wrongly before now, even by centaurs. I hope this is one of those times. He turned and cantered back into the depths of the forest, leaving Harry shivering behind him. Ron had fallen asleep in the dark common room, waiting for them to return. He shouted something about Quidditch fouls, and Harry roughly shook him awake. In a matter of seconds, though, he was wide-eyed as Harry began to tell him and Hermione what had happened in the forest. Harry couldn't sit down. He paced up and down in front of the fire. He was still shaking. Snape wants the stone for Voldemort, and Voldemort's waiting in the forest. And all of this, we thought Snape was just wanting to get rich. Stop saying his name, said Ron in a terrified whisper. Harry wasn't listening. Firenze saved me, but he shouldn't have done so. Bane was furious. He was talking about interfering with the planets say is going to happen. They must show that Voldemort's coming back. Bane thinks Firenze should have let Voldemort kill me. I suppose that's written in the stars. Will you stop saying his name? Ron said. So all I've got to do now is wait for Snape to steal the stone, Harry went on feverishly. Then Voldemort will be able to come back and finish me off. Well, I suppose Bane will be happy. Hermione looked frightened, but then had a word of comfort. Harry, everyone says Dumbledore is the only one you know who was ever afraid of. With Dumbledore around, you know who won't touch you. Anyway, who says the centaurs are right? Sounds like fortune telling to me. And Professor McGonagall says that's a very imprecise branch of magic. The sky had turned light before they stopped talking. They went to bed exhausted, their throats sore, but the night's surprises weren't over. When Harry pulled back the sheets, he found his invisibility cloak folded neatly underneath them, and there was a note pinned to it, just in case. That's it for today, guys.